Welcome to another episode, where this time in Kerbal Space Program, I make the largest shake you've ever seen get sent into space. Now, I'll be honest, it's been a long time since the last time I hopped on, so a lot of this is me figuring this out all over again. So I'm going to go ahead and get started making the launch escape system, and that basically just helps us protect the shuttle so that we don't lose any of the pilots inside. Because while we can recover the shuttle anytime, you can't recover the people inside quite as easily. Not in One Piece, that is. Now, here I start making the fairing, and we want this to be looking like a shake, so in order to do that, it's going to have a straw. For the straw, I decided to go for basically the crinkly straw look, the ones that have a bend in the middle, because it's the only way I could convince anyone otherwise that it's a straw. This game isn't very good at letting you stick stuff sideways. I tried my hand at making the sideways straw anyways, even though I knew it wasn't really going to work, and I wasn't really happy with it. So I just stuck to what I had there and went ahead and started making the cup. The cup was really easy. I just had to make sure I don't close it off at the bottom. Because otherwise, there's no room for the thrusters. Anyone worth their salt could have told you that one. I played around with some of the colors. I wasn't really sure if I wanted a silver straw or silver cup. At the end, I just went back to the default colors because, to be honest, the white cup, white straw looks about as generic as it can be. I didn't want it to be just white though, so I started adding a couple of signs, see if I could put a design on it. Something to cover both the cup and the straw. Oh yeah, this is me forgetting how to use symmetry and how to copy paste stuff using the alt. Fun times. Yeah. Either way, it helped speed up my progress just a little bit. And I do have all this sped up to like 15 times because it is a bunch of nitpicking, and that would make for a very, very entertaining video to watch. Now that I have the cup done, I was going to go ahead and get started on the inside. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to have to put inside here, including thrusters, fuel cells, and a couple other things I'll forget later, but that's then. It took me a little bit to figure out that holding Alt lets you snap stuff into place, and what exactly will snap onto that. But after I did, it got going pretty quickly. Now that I put the thrusters on, I was convinced it could fly. So before I set out, I went ahead and set up the launch escape system so that way we could test that at the exact same time. Because, we might actually need it too. But what could go wrong? Yeah, without anything supporting it, there's really nothing to keep it from just collapsing onto the floor before those thrusters actually take off. And further testing shows that I didn't even have the escape system set up correctly. Yeah, that thing was still attached to the ship. And so back to the drawing board. Upon further inspection, I figured out that I'd swapped where the fairing was supposed to be and the disconnector. Once I had that fixed, I went ahead and decided to put on the struts so that, you know, it wouldn't actually collapse this time under its own weight. Now it's standing pretty tall, and it looks great. I decided to extend the fairing all the way down to the bottom. That way, it actually looked like a cup through and through. Now that was done, all I had to do was test the launch eject system again. And I'm missing something. So yeah, about time I put parachutes on that thing. With the parachutes in place, we gotta program it so that way when we use the launch escape system, the parachutes will deploy. At this point, I was convinced that everything was in place, it's looking great, we can go ahead and test it, right? And then click. Yeah, so there might be an issue with the staging. Just a little issue. At least they survived. Parachutes did their job. As long as the pilots are alright, I don't see an issue. So I went back and fixed the staging. Other than that, I don't think there was anything wrong with it. Okay, so I did the staging backwards. I redid the staging one more time. Yeah, okay, so it's still wrong, but at least this time I know what's wrong. Alright? What I'm missing here is thrust. That bar right there is supposed to be at maximum. And I couldn't figure out exactly what was the button that brought it up to there. So I started pressing randomly on the keyboard until this. So yeah, all I had to do was press Z. Now that we're actually putting some sort of velocity on the shuttle, let's fix staging once again, and go. And it flies. Would you look at that, it flies. And staging's still wrong, but it's fine. Nope, okay, it's self-destructing. It has self-destructed. Yes. Okay. Screw it, just let it play. Let's just see how wrong this goes. And it's not even connected to the... Okay. Yep, the ship's in two. Shuttle's in two. Yep. I mean, now's a great time to test the parachutes. And there's the rest of it blowing up in the distance. Fun! Other than the incoming asteroid, though, I'd say at least we figured out something very critical. I'm just gonna show you guys the rest of this run because why not? I want to prove that they got there safely and sound, even though I do this at the end. But yeah, not a total loss. Once I got back, I decided I'm going to put some struts on all of them. I'm going to put 2 struts on every side. Total 8 struts. That should prevent it from wobbling too much. They're rigid connections, not like string, so it should stop the shaking in general. I also took the time to add the designs back into the cup because, yeah, I spent a lot of time figuring out what I wanted to do for the sides of the cup. I thought I might as well put it back in there. Not sure why they left in the first place. Once that all said and done, all that's left is actually launch. You know, successfully. Now, I know I did still mess up that staging, and I do fix that, The more critical thing here is that I can't control the craft at all. It's heading straight for the ground and I can't do anything to control it. So in a bit of panic, I kind of activated the system, even though the thing's going too fast for any of the parachutes to deploy. Yeah. So back to the shop to figure out what I'm missing, and I'm missing this. I'm missing the little RCS controllers that allow you to turn without using any fuel. It's also just helps stability in general. Now that that's done, everything should be fine, right? Staging set, throttles at max. Things are supposed to be where they are. Now we just gotta point it in the right direction. Right? I got all really happy when I saw it go straight up, and then I checked the map, and then I saw it spinning. Yeah, that's a death roll. That's a death roll. And then I remembered you can stabilize it on a certain point. On prograde and all that stuff. Yeah, I should have done that to begin with. It's fun learning this stuff. Again. I'm not actually quite sure why the engines blew up there, but they did. And so we're left with a big cup heading towards the ocean. And yeah. I was actually curious to see how much of this cup would survive the impact with the water. So I let it play out. I deployed the parachutes. It flipped the cup over at least. Not all the way, and by the looks of it, it tore two of them. But yeah, all that was left over was just the capsule. Everything else disintegrated. No, the parachute. Right, forgot about that parachute. Anyways, let's try it again. But this time, let's actually have the ship set to retrograde. And I was trying to figure out why it got unstable to begin with. I said retrograde, that's prograde. I know what I'm talking about. But yeah. I have this sped up 3 times because it does take a while to get out of the atmosphere. But once you do, boom! There it is. Finally there. It's in the sky. Look at it. The world's largest disposable cup. Yeah. And it's headed straight for the sun. I wanted to see if it would at least get into orbit. It doesn't, spoiler alert, but it looks really cool. It still looks really cool. This all makes me appreciate how much effort was put into the game though. Being able to see the flight trajectories and all that accurately, it's a cool thing. Kerbal Space Program is no small feat, I think. And it's a really cool simulator. I just personally don't like playing it. I'd rather edit the video than play Kerbal Space Program. And that's kind of why I made this, to mock. But hey, there's a thumbnail if I ever saw one. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day. Oh, and there's a bonus at the end if you really want to see just what happens when this thing comes back to Earth. But yeah, thanks for watching.